Charles Thompson played a very important part in founding America. And I'm so thrilled to be able to cook most of my recipes right here for this season. Today's menu will make fried calves feet with curried remoulade, beef olives, mashed potatoes with bacon and onion, and broccoli Polonaise. Today we'll tour Carpenters Hall, and then I'll cook right here at Charles Thompson's wonderful heart, right here at his farm. What a great honor for any chef. The first dish we're preparing now is a fried calves foot. I know it's kind of an interesting little dish because we, in our culture, don't eat calves foot anymore, except we use it for stock in restaurants. I use it for stock in my restaurant, the City Tavern, but it's not something commonly used at home. However, it's still a delicacy today all over Europe. And it obviously was a huge delicacy in the 18th century. Hannah Glaser, which is the forerunner of all of our recipes, wrote in her book, published in 1745, it's one of the finest things you can eat. The other thing to remember is when you buy them from the butcher, and obviously they're available, especially butchers have them, you ask for the foot to be cut in half. Now you can take the hoof off, leave the hoof on. They really there's again no right, no wrong. You first blanch them. Blanching meaning putting them in hot water, bring it to a boil, take it out of the water and start it again. Basically I have water on the fire. Then we can add in the murpra, which is basically celery, fresh, some celery root, some parsley, a little bit of an onion. Celery root, parsley, onion. You notice I'm dumping everything with it, and actually the skin of the onion adds a little color to it. So when I leave the onion skin for certain stocks, I leave it on there, it adds a little color into my stock. Okay. The process to cook the V-leg is a long one. Takes about a half an hour the first step through, and it takes about another half an hour to 40 minutes on the second step through. What you want to do is you want to basically cook them until such time that the outer skin is soft enough for you to remove. So what you want to do, let it cool off a little bit so you can manage it with your hand. One important step in this recipe is when you want to bread those, you want to make sure that you season your flour. So I put salt and white pepper and nutmeg under my flour. If I would want to season the calves foot in itself, it would not take. When you want to cook them, you want to make sure that you have enough cooked so you can peel it off the bone. And you do this gently by hand. So you just go, take your finger underneath here and you push it through. Here we go, until it comes over on the other side. And when they're done, about pieces like so. Then you want to let it cool off a little bit, but not let it get cold completely. I have them done already, and when you do that, you want to let it sit up for a little bit, but don't congeal it completely, because otherwise you'll have a tough time getting the seasoning. So all you're going to do now is put it in the flour, as I mentioned to you, seasoned flour. Put in the egg wash, flour, egg wash. Okay, and then we just put it in the breadcrumb. Now, mine obviously are spectacular because I'm using the Saliland breadcrumbs that I make at the restaurant in the City Tavern every day, which is like a brioche. So it has much more flavor than store-bought breadcrumbs, but you can use store-bought breadcrumbs. I don't expect you to bake your bread and make breadcrumbs like we do. Here we go. And it's just breaded really good. Really, really good breaded. Here we go. Now, I'm going to take this over. First, I'm going to wash my hand quick in my 18th century sink. Now those ones here, 18th century style, they would be cooked in lard. You don't have to use lard. Any grease would work. And you want to cook them nicely and crispy. You want to keep an eye on them because they crisp up really quickly, because remember, everything is already cooked, so the breadcrumbs don't take any much time. Matter of fact, those ones are ready to be served. So let me get them out of the grease. Voila, want to do is get my garnish ready. My pièce de résistance, a tribute to the 18th century. Many times you don't see me nibbling on the show, but I cannot resist that. So I gotta cut myself a nice piece. The Curried Remoulade on there, and I'll tell you, it does not get better than that. I know it's maybe not an acquired taste for our days, but trust me, the 18th century and still in Europe today, much appreciated delicatessen of the wheel. Beautiful, absolutely. When Charles Thomson, John and Samuel Adams, and Patrick Henry needed a place to convene for the first Continental Congress, they chose a very important but little-known building in Philadelphia called Carpenters Hall.
In the city of Philadelphia in Independence Hall Park, at the privately held building, otherwise known as Carpenters Hall, the little building in the undiscovered back alleyway that is involved in the birth of the nation.
When protesters dressed as Indians threw tea overboard in Boston Harbor, it was in anger and frustration at British oppression and taxation of its subjects in the colonies. The threat of 4,000 British troops choking off commerce in Boston led to a meeting in the late summer of 1774 in Philadelphia. In the stifling August heat, some of America's most well-known founders came together for the first time. Peyton Randolph, John and Samuel Adams, George Washington, and Patrick Henry.
When Samuel and John Adams arrive here in the last week of August, and the first thing they go to is City Tavern, they start meeting the other gentlemen of the assembly that is about to meet. They will walk down 2nd Street, they will come down Chestnut, they will come down this alleyway that you came down 236 years ago at this time, October. They will come into this building.
This became known as the First Continental Congress, and the Declaration of Rights and Grievances it issued to King George III was the opening volley in America's struggle for independence. Until that moment, the colonies had acted as independent entities. This crisis had united them.
Walter, as we come up these steps, these are original to the building, so Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, John Jay, Patrick Henry would have used this rail as they came up to the 2nd floor in the library.
Tell me about the French Connection and the Carpenters Hall.
In December of 1775, a French emissary comes from the court of Louis XVI, contacts Benjamin Franklin and John Jay, who are part of the Committee of Secret Correspondence with foreign entities. There are 3 clandestine meetings in this room. They do these meetings in the middle of the night. They sneak in here from different locations. But out of that becomes the Silas Deane mission to France, the supplying of the troops with both money and material aid, and the rest is history.
So history was made right here in this very room.
Oui, c'est fini. Oh, excellent, sir.
Beef olives, what an intriguing dish. How much thinking went behind it for Hannah Glaser when she wrote this recipe in 1745. When I first experimented with it, it's very close to something we make in the Black Forest, matter of fact, all the time. And it's one of my favorites. This is my Sunday meal if I get homesick. Not quite to this extent, but close to it. So what you want to do with that is you want to go to your butcher and tell him to cut you a piece of inside round. However, I wanted to show you what an inside round looks like. It's a big piece of meat, as you see in front of you. What the butcher will do, he'll trim it down. I don't have to show you that because nobody would buy this piece of meat. But to make the connections for you, just want to show you. So basically, what would happen is you trim off the fat on the outside, and what you do is you'll take more here. The best way to do it, should you want to ever do this at home, want to experiment with this, you let it get kind of cold. When it's cold, it's easier to slice. When you go slice, just slice off like so. I already have them pre-sliced, so we can move on with the next step. So let me move this down below, show you how this is done. So when you pre-slice it, and you want to take it thin, by the way, like so. Take a little cleaver, the thinner you can make that, the better. So if you tell your butcher, make them thin, and the reason for that is the many more times you roll it, the better the flavor comes in afterwards. That's the whole beauty of this dish. Many cultures have something similar. Italians call it bresaola, same thing. The Germans call it rouladen. The French call it paupiette. But the 18th century comparators call it olive. Why? There's no olive in the recipe, but it looks like an olive when it's cooked. Now, to make the stuffing for that, a couple of things you will do. You take the trimming of this meat that we just saw, you grind it, real easy. Or if you want to be really fancy, like some of the recipes that I read, is you take tenderloin. This happens to be a tenderloin of beef, and you just cut small pieces, like so, and chop it, mince it really fine by hand, and make this as your stuffing. Obviously, this is, again, very elaborate, but very good. So you mince it up like so, and you move it into your mixture. In the mixture, we put in mushrooms that are already sauteed. We put in onions that are also already sauteed. We put in a little bit of parsley, a little bit of chive, a little bit of breadcrumb. Breadcrumb is to keep the moisture in it. We're going to put in an egg and a little bit of garlic, just a tad, not a much garlic, like about so. Mix this whole thing up, and this would be your stuffing, just like you see me doing it here. So I'm going to take them out, and I portion up the recipe, like about so. I put this in the middle, and there's recipes that I've seen from other than Hannah Glasse that put mushrooms like mori mushrooms, truffles in there. They really, the sky is the limit. You can get very elaborate or less elaborate. So the next step is what's so intriguing about this recipe, which really holds this whole dish together. This is called caul fat. It separates the upper from the lower part of the animal or humans, for that matter, and is used heavy in 18th century cooking. It's still used today in French cooking because what it does, it holds things together, great. You just cut it in big pieces, and then what you do is you rub the olive into it, like so. Any too much fat, you trim it right down in the end. The reason we use the caul fat is because two things. One, in the 18th century, the meat would have been very dry because it was all grass fat. But furthermore, the caul fat holds it together. It becomes like a casing for it because the caul fat will shrink, but the membranes will hold it together. So what happens is when you do it this way, you have a beautiful olive in the end that really holds beautifully together. All right, pot is nice and hot. Put a little butter into it. What I'm going to do now is put my olives in it. Some mushrooms chopped, right over it. A little bit of garlic, right over it. It's a good amount of black pepper. I have an onion right here. Onion, it's a nice flavor to it. I would not use shallots for this one. Just a rough chopped onion would be perfect for this particular recipe. The onion on top. So I have red wine, which I have right here. A little parsley, chive, salt. I have my demi already warm right over here, or any brown sauce you can use. There's really no right, no wrong, because there's so much flavor in the olives, you don't have to worry about it. And in all my hair, I almost forgot something very important. Look at me right here. It's the beef marrow. Because the beef marrow, I'm putting into it, gets tremendous flavor into this dish. So I just want to chop some marrow down and put it right over. It will melt down completely as it cooks, so it's gorgeous. And it'll take about 45 minutes, and we'll be in business. After the Continental Congresses, Philadelphia was later the site of the Constitutional Convention.
In 1787, representatives again convened in Philadelphia for the Constitutional Convention. Although by this time America had won its independence, it lacked cohesion. Each state operated by its own laws, taxed its own people, and was loath to contribute anything to the common good of the country.
The men in this room felt that the country was just going off the rails, that the Articles of Confederation, the first Constitution, wasn't adequate to meet the challenges of the day, that what was required was a stronger central government. And that's what they set out to do when they wrote the Constitution, create that stronger central government.
From the 55 delegates that met in Independence Hall that May, one of them had worked tirelessly to bring this moment about. James Madison, small, studious, and typically quiet, proved to be a giant when it came to constitutional law.
It will be necessary to form a new kind of government, one with the power to tax and one with the authority to regulate commerce amongst the states.
Madison was right for the job because he had a very bookish personality and he had studied more about constitutions and how government should work than any other delegate in the room.
In preparation for this moment, Madison first studied previous republics and learned what mistakes America needed to avoid.
After recognizing the deficiencies of confederations generally, was to show the deficiencies of our own confederation.
Although Madison and many other signers of the Constitution were not entirely pleased with the outcome of their work, it was the introduction by Madison of the Bill of Rights and the ability to amend the Constitution which has made it a living document with so much influence in guiding our lives today.
I think they would recognize their Constitution. It's been amended 27 times, but it's the same framework of government that they developed. When Washington left the convention, he said it was almost a miracle that they created a document as solid and as sound as they did, and I think that's absolutely true.
Perhaps upon more honest scrutiny, I must confess that perhaps it was the Constitution, the implementation of this new government, to which I find most rewarding to myself. And I suspect over a period of time that may be the association that I have with this new government. That may be the credit other people give to me.
I'm almost ready to plate up my spectacular beef olives, but before I do that, I gotta finish my potatoes. The potato I'm making today is an interesting potato that has tremendous amount of flavor. Not that my beef olives don't have enough flavor already, but this together with the beef olives makes it even better. So all I do is I take Yukon Golds, I leave the skin on, it's very important, because I want the extra looks and the flavor. I have some bacon and some onion that I saute down. I have nutmeg. I have butter. I have chives and parsley. I have salt. And normally when I make mashed potatoes, I use white pepper. However, since I left the skin on, it wouldn't show, and I think there's a little bit more flavor in freshly ground pepper. So I'm gonna hit it with a good amount of freshly ground pepper, like so. All right, now, all I want to do is mix it up. That's what I call smashed. Not mashed, but smashed. I'm going to use that as the base of my beef olives that I'm going to get out of the oven right now. I'm going to let it sit up for a little bit here. I'm going to taste one more time, make sure I have enough salt in it. Sometimes potatoes take up a lot of your seasoning. Obviously, it doesn't get better when you have lots of butter. You can't go wrong with that. All right, it's beautiful. I'm going to the oven and get my beef olives. Beautiful. Come. Oh, yeah. Manach, isn't it beautiful? That's what I live for. Gorgeous. Look at that. As you know, when we talk about the 18th century, everything would have been always served family style. So most likely they would have served the potatoes on the side. However, I can help myself for this dish because that is something that I make for myself, as I discussed many times. I love it. Normally when I do this dish, or many times, I finish it with a little butter. Doesn't need it because the marrow is in there and the flavor of the cow fat and the beef all together is just so spectacular. So all I want to do now is take a little bit of this fantastic gravy and just pour it over it. Just a little bit like so. All right, and all we want to do is put a little chives on top of that. And for the first time, but never the last time, a little rosemary. Beautiful. Voila, that's it. My beef olive, a tribute to Hannah Glass and her book from 1745. It really is remarkable how fantastic those recipes were in the 18th century, and I'm so excited always reproducing it to the best of my knowledge. But I'm sure she would be very proud of me because it's a fantastic, fantastic dish. So much flavor, so much goodness. A little difficult to make, yeah, I grant you, but hey, good things in life, not easy to come by. And that's absolutely superb. Hannah, you're the best. Broccoli, a delicacy during Roman days already, didn't make it really popular here in our country until the 1920s. Thomas Jefferson and many other of the 18th century elite had it grown in their garden. It's a very popular dish during the 18th century, and obviously for reasons why, because it's very good for you. It's very beautiful, it looks nice, and it's a very easy dish to make. The one I'm making today is a little bit more complicated, not complicated, but it has a unique twist to it. It's actually called Polonaise, and it's basically translated in a Polish style. And all I'm going to do is have broccoli already. I have water in a rolling boil. You want to be very quick. Put it in the water, literally quickly, like what I'm doing right now. Boom. And out it goes in no time. And the next thing I got to do, while this is going to the side a little bit, I'm going to have a spider getting warm. The spider gets good amount of schmaltz. Schmaltz, which is rendered, whether any kind of animal fat, pork, chicken, goose, you name it. Egg goes in it. Now comes the breadcrumbs, which is great flavor. I have parsley and chive chopped. All you want to do is get a little heat onto it. Actually, slight toasting on your breadcrumbs that gets the flavor, but very little. It doesn't need much at all. While this is cooking here, I'll take the broccoli, take it up, put it on my platter. Beautiful, green, gorgeous. What a beautiful vegetable. I don't know why it took so long to get famous in this country. Matter of fact, I know some recent presidents didn't ever serve it in the White House. So there we go. I wonder why. Look at how gorgeous that is. So it's like having breakfast and eating your vegetable at the same time. It's just a beautiful dish, and it's really gorgeous eating. That's what makes it so nice. This broccoli would be perfect together with my beef olives and smashed potato with bacon and onions. And I'm sure would have been served during the Continental Congress to all the members at the City Tavern in 1774. Cooked by me, of course. I hope you enjoyed learning about Carpenters Hall and the creation of our Constitution. And I really hope you get a chance to try George Washington's beef olives. They are a real taste of history.